It is not every day you come across someone who has worked within the 3 tiers of government. I mean, the local government, the state government, and the federal government. All 3, this person has worked through them. And I'm talking about Dr. Rekiya Momoh-Abaji. She's a retired federal civil servant, and of course she rose through the ranks from 1981 when she joined the service to 2015 when she retired, having spent the last 8 years as a director, and has much more feathers to her cap. It's nice to have you, Dr. Rekiya, join me on this conversation.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've walked through the states, local government starting point to the federal level. Can you just walk me through how is that? How does it feel?
Okay. Well, it feels really good, and actually, it wasn't walking through from local government to the state and up.
Yeah. State, local government, and
no. It's like federal government,
okay,
state, local government, and back to federal.
Oh.
Yeah, I started my service years with the Federal Training Center, where I was a teacher of English and English literature at Katung. And from there, I joined another federal parastatal, the National Productivity Center. It was from the National Productivity Center that I got the appointment to serve as the Executive Director of Kogi State Agency for Adult and Non-Formal Education. I was there for about 6 years when the Abdul Salam regime came on, and senior civil servants were appointed as caretaker chairman of local government. So I was a caretaker chairman. So you see, it's a ping-pong, federal, state, local government, and back to federal, from where I finally retired in 2015.
Okay, so which of these, which of the 3 arms would you say was more profound for you?
Wow. I think they all came with various experiences. At the federal level, the quality of personnel was very obvious. At the state level, you could also have that. At the local government level, maybe a good percentage would not be holding the qualifications you expect them to hold. But I would say that working there is good, because you easily affect many lives. Well, you know, the quick example I give is, as a local government chairman, you can sign a policy or a statement or an issue that will affect very many number of people at the grassroots. You know, as a local government chairman, when their wives deliver, they come to you. When somebody is sick in the hospital, they come to you. Even if they don't have food in their homes, they can come to you and think that it is your duty to be of use to them.
Because you're closer to them.
Because you are closer to them, because they can reach you as easily as possible. And then at the state government, as a chief executive, I took adult education to many local governments as well, because I related to traditional rulers, to non-governmental organizations, you know, with the aim of getting them to understand that the adult education will be useful for them at all times. For instance, one of the good examples I have was a lady who said that the best thing that happened to her in her life was signing her daughter's marriage register. Because she never thought that that could happen. But through adult education, she now knew at least how to put her initials on the marriage register and she was not going to thumbprint. That was very exciting for her. And many people came to, you know, embrace adult education because like giving them a second chance, which they were always thrilled to use, you know. At the federal government level, I most times expertise is the word. You have to know your onions. You have to know what you're doing. And in the 8 years where I served as director, directing something, and even coming sequel to all of that, you had to know what you were doing to direct people to offer service. At all levels, you get different types of excitement because you meet different levels of people.
So I would step back a bit to the local government system where you were a chairperson in Ajaokuta, and I'm wondering, with the financial autonomy granted to local governments now, what will be your take on that, and if an overall autonomy should be granted to local governments, what will be the impact?
The impact will be of immense benefit to the people, except also that you must then monitor, you must then watch what they do with the resources that they get, because you want to feel that, okay, there will be localized needs, there will be needs that are, you know, effective for each local government. So if they have autonomy, you will expect that they come up with a list of things that they want to do, prioritize the things that will be beneficial for the local government and the area, and so work on it. You know, there is the local government commission. They would need monitoring, they will need constant evaluation, and maybe constant peer review to make sure that they do what they say they are going to do. So that, you know, finances are not lying there for local government chairmen to do what they want with it. So checks and balances will be, should be seriously put in place so that they work for the people.
Okay, absolutely. And that will be on the government side now, but there's been that sort of disconnect between citizens not knowing the place of the local government, for instance, not knowing the place of the state government. So everything is just together. So, and there are people who just know only this system on ground right now because they are young adults or they're kids who did not experience how it was in the time past, like when you were in the system. How do we get citizen participation at the grassroots level?
To get them to participate, you work on getting them to participate. I think people should seek information on what should be happening and so be able to give that delivery. You know, in the services, there's always training and retraining for various levels of people, for various categories of people. And at a local government level, I expect that there will be outreach. The local government should take it upon itself to move out to the people and give them orientation as to what to expect. And you know that at the local government, you relate with the traditional rulers, you relate with these people who make the demands, and so it gives you an opportunity to continuously check on what they want, see what is expected in the environment, and be able to offer those services. It's about service at that level, that you are ready to prioritize what they want and what you should, what is in design for you to give to them.
You made mention of the fact that adult education was one of the things that was very profound for you. And there's another you didn't mention, but I studied and found that out as well, the girl-child education.
Yeah.
And which do you hold dearly? Is it the adult education you spoke about?
I think they all run together.
Okay.
But the reason I hold the girl-child education dearly is Well, it's obvious I'm a girl child. A girl child. I am the first of 27 children of my father.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And his 10 girls came before the first male.
Wow.
So you see that in the 50s, if you were having one girl, second girl, up till 9, 10, it was like, you didn't have a baby or you didn't have children. You are just having girl children. But, you know, I come from a father that knew that he wanted to make the best out of his girls. I don't want to say he wanted to make boys out of his girls. He just wanted to make the best out of his girls. And he also fathomed that a child is a child, depending on what you make of the child. So he tried as much as possible to send all of us to school. I started driving before I was 18. I learned driving with a pickup. And I was in charge of, my father was a cloth merchant. He sold clothes. And I was in charge of shops now and then, taking care of things, me and my siblings, taking turns to sell in the shop. And so we knew from then that whatever a boy child can do, we can also do. And even do better. We beat boys in school. So we are comfortable in our skins as children, and as growing adults, many of us adopted the passion to want to see that a girl child goes to school, that a girl child is educated, because you are what you are educated in. You get what I mean?
Yes,
education is crucial. It can send you anywhere. Though we are still in a world where, you know, the men haven't given us too many seats.
Yes, I was going to ask actually before we get to this, if back then your dad was having this kind of public resistance, how are you having girl children and you're sending them to school, as we know happened in some societies? Did it happen to you?
Indeed, it happened to him, but he was focused on his thoughts. I don't know how he got it, but he was so focused that before he passed, some of his friends turned round to see the wisdom in what he did, because we had started to graduate and we had started to come home, and those and their children who were our
Yes,
mates
yeah.
probably have married, and the issues of marriage have started to hit in on them. And it was obvious that with education, there are very many ways out of situations like that. And so he died a happy man that he focused on sending us to school.
Okay, and we don't see a lot of women on the table when it comes to national issues, especially with the affirmative action. You have also participated in that space.
Yeah, I think that a lot still needs to be done. You know, of the 35% affirmative action, where we are expected to be on the table 35%. But the men, they simply have been on that seat for too long, and they are not willing to create spaces. So many issues come to play here. What space are you allowed? Politically, you are campaigning with a man. You know, oftentimes it's a woman that is appealed to, please step down, this. We're also in a society where many women are not like financially strong. And to play politics, you need to have finances. Finances to run even political offices. And if our affirmative action were not just mouthed, if our governments will do something about it specifically, then women will come on board, especially because we have women who have occupied positions and have done very well, exemplary in the way they perform. the Okonjo-Iwealas, Amina Mohammed, Obieze Kwesili, a number of us they are playing parts, and they are doing well at them. Even historically, the Queen Aminas and what have you, they have Ransom Kuti, they have played roles. So since women have shown example that they can be in places and that they would act well and they would behave well and they would bring goodness to the table, why not give them chances to play the roles that they can play? You know?
I'm going to hold you on that thought because we're going to go on a break and we'll be back in just a moment. Okay, welcome back, and I've been speaking with Dr. Rekiya Momoh-Abaji, and I was always thinking that Abaji is just a place in the FCT, not knowing that there's another Abaji somewhere in Kogi State. But that's by the way. I believe that in all of this, in public service, you must have had some very trying times as a woman to fit in or take some very firm decisions. What would you say was the most trying time or the defining moment for you?
I really would think that were there any real issues? I think I was okay all the time. Okay. At the beginning of my career, you know, when you start, you get married, you have children, you come to work, issues happen, you are probably not saying to be putting in your best, because that's the trying time when you should be at the office with competition. You are young, competition is high, and then you have to take time off to have a baby, you know. Those are times that a woman seems to slow down. A woman seems to slow down, and then you discover that you have to work doubly hard when you return to be able to be at par with the competition. Those were times. And as my career moved on, I just realized that once you are educated, not necessarily with the degrees, you know, we were just talking about administrative acumen when we started, just talking ordinarily. If you knew what to do and you were doing, and you were qualified doing what you were doing, I see that the challenges are not so much. Nobody challenges you because you are a woman when you are on the job doing what you know how to do, you know. Well, so I think being qualified, being ready, and doing what is administratively acceptable, you can only be liked, and they will just cooperate with you in rendering your service and doing your work.
Okay. After a public life, you went into so many other things, and one of them was you were an election observer from 2006 to 2015, and in fact, that is before you left the public service, of course. And so if you're going to give an assessment of Nigeria's electoral processes, are we going upwards from then till now, or we're coming down, or is there any difference that you have noticed over time?
Wow. I won't assess that we are making any higher marks. I will assess that we are not taking many things into consideration. When I imagine the violence that visits our elections, I wonder how we are also capable of that that quantum of violence, you know, because but in any case, elections around the world, violence is also creeping into, especially the U.S. elections, which I observed. I observed the election,
Obama election,
yes, the election that brought Obama into.
Was there any violence then?
I noticed no violence, and in fact, when they were set for as soon as Obama was announced and there was the victory party, I saw both parties collapsing. Where I finally observed in New York. Not yes, that was my last place, because there were many places, and you know, elections were going on. We moved from one state to another. We were in about 6 states of the U.S. They just collapsed, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. The party started immediately. The winner was announced. So when I returned here, and there were things like, even before I went there were things like ballot snatching, even shooting at people, and even physical violence at election venues. It was like, oh, when are we going to, you know, come off this place? And I think it hasn't abated. They still do the fights, they still pursue people, and, you know, so, and the way that our elections, our votings are concentrated. You know that in the U.S. there's the early ballot. You can send in your votes from the post office. You can, if you were going to leave this state to another, you could do the early balloting, and you know, then on that day you can even vote from shops, voting avenues in the shops, and you know, so, but in our own case, we concentrate it in one day, and so people are desperate to get in, and there is this violence. We haven't moved too far, I would assess, from 2006 till now. I don't think we've moved too far.
Okay, it's hurtful to make these kinds of observations, and I mean, Nigerians, people like you, have been observing elections across the world. Is it that we're not learning any lessons, or the system is refusing to adjust?
I think that, you know, is the desperation around Nigerian elections. You must have heard people say that politics is the most paying job in Africa, in Nigeria, where the Senate president here earns more than the U.S. president in salaries and allowances and all the other things that go with, you know, being in these positions. So the person who gets there now is desperate to remain there, or at the point of getting there, they are desperate to get there. So because the pay and all the other things,
all the perks that come with the office,
all the perks that come with it, they are just enormous. They would rather die for those things than die focusing on serving the people. The reason, as soon as they get there, they have to get disconnected from the people, because they don't want to pay the price of serving the people. So we always find this disconnect, and I think it is just not right. Oftentimes I ask myself, how much does a human being need to live? Do you know that as you get older, what you eat reduces?
Yeah, true.
Naturally, you are even told the expanse you eat, the much you eat is reduced. The things you are also allowed to eat, you are restricted. So what exactly? You cannot drive 2 cars at the same time. You cannot sleep on 2 beds at the same time. You cannot stay in 2 houses at the same time. And no matter what you do on earth, everyone is going to pass on. So what is this craze?
You know, growing up, we used to have this funny joke amongst us that when you see people who didn't have much growing up and all of a sudden they have everything at their expense, they begin to do things excessively. We used to call it the latecomers syndrome.
No.
Is it just about those who just wake up one day and see that these resources are available, or it's just a general thing about how we do things here?
I think we need to look at the background of most of them, because there were times that we have heard that some of these people who get into politics, they come in as the rejects of society at a time. Then they come in, they find themselves in this life of opulence, and they certainly want to remain there. They certainly want to oppress those that they should be serving. They certainly want to, you know, chew with both hands. I think that orientation needs to change. That orientation needs to change. When people know that no matter what you do, you must leave these things on earth and move on. At any point, when it becomes the time. So why the desperation?
So
the patriotism, love for your neighbor, love for the person on whose account you are occupying a position, is something that our politicians need to learn and work with.
Okay, there's also the school of thought that says when you want to hide something from a Nigerian, put it in a book, because we don't read. So perhaps is it time to say agencies like national orientation agencies to do much more, let people be aware these are the constitutional provisions, for instance, this is what is expected of you as a citizen, this is what's expected of those in public offices regarding you. Is it something that we are lacking in terms of communication and making it happen?
It's certainly something that we are lacking, and it's something that the National Orientation Agency should focus on. But not just the National Orientation Agency. If our politicians are honest to us, they should also give civic education. They should be able to tell the citizenry, this is, okay, my position as a senator, this is what it is. My position as member of your House of Rep, this is what it is. And this is what I can do for you. This is what my position will enable me to do for you. They should know. This is how to go about elections. This is how to go about voting. If the politician is also, if he's filled with the love of the people, if he's filled with the patriotism to serve the people, they should also be able to orient, give the people orientation as to how these things can be done.
Okay. Recently, when the conversation around the earnings of National Assembly members came up, we saw the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission come out to say, oh, senators are entitled to only 1 million per head. That's what we've been paying them. And then one senator from Kano State, to be precise, says, no, I am not a high-ranking member, and every month I receive a lot of 21 million. So the question, as you have pointed out earlier, really is, at what point should the average politician take what they are being paid that includes what is for the people and confidently go home and relax with it? Nobody is asking questions. How do we get them to run constituency offices, perhaps, and have functional staff, and in fact do meetings? You've pointed some of these things out. I don't see a lot of them asking the constituents, what do you want?
Yeah, they don't ask because they don't want to give what the constituencies want and what they need. I think that, I don't know, as Nigerians, I don't think we ask enough questions. Like you said, if you don't want an information to be out, put it in a book. How many of us read and digest the functions of these people so that we know what to do? And then, how does our systems allow us to ask questions? I don't know that our level of activism is certainly very low. We don't ask questions, we just take what they give us, and so they continue to give us what they think they should give us. Otherwise, if people organize around asking questions, they certainly would sit up. Don't you think so? They certainly would sit up if we organize around asking them questions. But again, our system makes it difficult even for us to reach those who represent us. Is there a way I can think of seeing the Senate president and I will see him in the next 1 or 2 weeks? You probably would have to write the letter. You don't know whether it gets to him unless you publish it in a national newspaper that you want to see your senator, you know. So I think the systems don't even hold them accountable. So they just go away with things. If the systems were asking questions, then they are bound to answer questions, like creating a town hall, insisting that there must be town hall meetings. There must be times when legislators are answerable to their people. You know, if those things are stated clearly and they happen, then we'll be able to ask questions. But when you ask no questions, you get no answers. We're just there at their mercy.
At their mercy.
And they receive what they receive and go to sleep.
Can Nigeria afford this kind of expenditure when we can not collectively agree on a living wage?
I think it is heartless that things happen like this. You know, it is really heartless because these representatives, legislators, they are the ones who should be bothered about the interests of the people they represent. But they are not bothered about the interests of the people. How do you even say, assuming that each of them earn 5 million, we're talking about somebody saying that he gets 20 million. 21 monthly. Will you not be compassionate enough to ensure that the people you represent, that at least they can get 1 million, or they can go to sleep with their belly full? If they were concerned, they are the ones who are supposed to bring up policies, legislations to make life better for the people. But do they care? They tell us that while we will be on the street marching, they will be in their houses eating. Can you imagine? So, you know, there is this lack of compassion, which is not aiding them to ensure that the people they represent are okay.
Okay, I would go on a break right now, and that is because after this break, I would want you to be speaking with me on the place of women, religion, and politics. Stay with us, and we'll be right back after this break. Thank you for still hanging in there with us, and I've been speaking with Dr. Rekiya. Doctor, you set up the Form 1 election desk in Nigeria. What was the motivation?
Yeah, during the 2006, what was it, elections, we realized that at that time I was the the chairperson for what we call IDASA, Institute for Democracy in South Africa. They had an outfit here, and I was an honorary chairperson, so like the face of IDASA in Nigeria. And we realized that the Muslim organizations, Islamic organizations, were not, forthcoming. They were not involved. They were not engaging the election issues. And so we had an Amira then. Amira is a female head of the Form 1. And she felt that we should set up a desk. And she invited me to set up that desk so that Muslim women who were until now not heard around such matters as elections will render their voice in the discussion about election activities. So we set up this election observation directorate, and we ran it in about, first of all, 9 states, and then 17 states. I've forgotten the details now, it's a long time. So what we did was sensitize people to get interested in what was happening around them, to get interested in how elections are conducted, even the campaign processes, for them to take interest, and then also to get engaged with voting, because we were telling them then that if you don't vote, then you are not rendering your voice to the system. You are not voting who you want. If you don't vote, the other people who vote will be the ones choosing some representatives for you, and so it's not good for you to just lay back at home when election activities are going on. So it was a general sensitization and call for involvement in the election process.
Did you get some changes?
A lot of changes, because people then started to engage with election observation, election activities, talk around who is representing us, how are they representing us, when, who is coming in, that kind of stuff. We got people aware of their environment.
They were able to get people to actually contest elections.
Yeah. So, many people came on contesting, many females. But,
Yes.
The story of the female representation has been that in the past, maybe not now, maybe not anymore, where they were just cheerleaders. People who just go to campaign grounds and they are dancing away their waists. But now, women have started to feel like participation, like going there to contest. It's not as if they have all the spaces now or all the advantages, but their orientation is such that they know now that they can participate. We also have women who have done it well, and they know that with these examples, they can have spaces. Recently, when I had to talk about the 35% affirmative action, I can tell you, this idea of if you want something, hide it in a book is very, very prevalent in most places. I went to the Ministry of Education, to Ministry of Women Affairs, to ask desk officers, what do you know about this policy? Even they didn't know. Even they didn't even know that there was any such, situation. They know about the 35% affirmative action, but that some 7 NGOs actually took this case to the High Court, and it was discussed. But are people practicing it? Are people asking for it? And when you ask for it, because the men are also in the majority of most of the situations, does it happen? I remember that once I worked with a governor, and during the campaigns, I kept on saying, okay, now that we are going to the local government for campaign, please make sure that we have at least all the deputy chairs, vice chairman, all the vice chairmen in the local governments. Let's make a statement, a policy statement to say that there must be women. You know,
how did they take it?
As an entry point. I don't think we had more than one or two. But you know, that's the place of policy in things like this. If a policy statement is made, if in a campaign a governor tells the people, okay, as I'm coming in, I want to ensure that I have 35% women in my cabinet, you know, it will encourage the women to come out, and it will encourage the voters to also search around for the women that should come in. But as time goes on, I think that the women, I will encourage women to sum up the courage to participate.
Yeah, I think the participation is one. They say women don't support women. When women come out to participate, how many women vote them? I think we should also be considering that.
That is also like something in the past, okay, where women definitely don't support women. But I think that about now, women can be convinced to support women. And where do I take that from? We're having better understanding of our workings right now. If I come up to you and tell you I want to participate in this, and we're from the same local government, and I have been able to appeal to you, will you not support me? You will support me because you know that I probably can do it. And then you will also support me because you have seen other women occupy positions and they have done well. So it's not like in the past that women had to be secretaries or they have to be cleaners in the offices. During the time I was chairman of the local government, I had instances where people, good morning, sir, you know, because they think if he's a chairman, he has to be a man. So even seeing me, they still come with the mindset of good morning, sir, good afternoon, sir, to me. But I think times are changing. Women are getting more qualified. Upbringing, socialization is changing. We women know now that we should also teach our girls that they are team players. You know, they can be part of the football team. We are not keeping them in the kitchen anymore like we used to do. I have 2 boys and 2 girls, and my boys cook. They cook as well as the girls, because growing up, if I had to have everybody in the kitchen, I had everybody in the kitchen. And if I want my boy to please fry yam for me, I can ask him to fry yam for me, you know. So at least we are not showing them now that, oh, only girls should be in the kitchen and boys should be out there playing football. So that socialization, changing it, is also changing the system.
Okay, I want to take you somewhere a bit, and it's going to be back to the elections, of course, and the anti-corruption fight that you have also championed. And these two, we can't actually separate them here. And if I may be excused here, you're from Kogi State, and Kogi State has been in the news for most of these issues. I mean, how do people react to you when you come up with this?
I'm from Kogi State, and being from Kogi State is really frustrating for me as one who has observed elections. Because some erratic things have been done around the Kogi elections, and we have a judicial system that is not picking out these things. So that's why the frustration for me is much, to the extent that If you were not asking me now, in some instances, I don't even like to discuss the Kogi instance.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, because we saw elections, we saw it going, and we saw where outrageous pronouncements were made to tilt elections, and it's going on and on. Tribunals have upheld what is terrible. Tribunals have done this, and I think we're at the Supreme Court today. Okay. You know, today the Supreme Court was looking at the issues of the APC, who was declared winner, and the SDP candidate who is challenging the elections. At the last sitting at the appeal court, I think at the tribunal, the beavers machines were admitted, evidence given and taken. At the appeal court, I hear that they said, I'm not a lawyer, they said the person who came from INEC to give the evidence, they are not sure the person is from INEC. And so they put aside the beavers issue. That's what was said. And they now went ahead to the Supreme Court. And today the Supreme Court sat. Judgment is still reserved. But who knows where it will tilt? I do not understand why we keep saying that judges will not uphold what is the obvious truth. We keep saying it, and it keeps happening, and we're helplessly watching on, you know. So being from Kogi State is really frustrating for me. We want to see the outcome of the Supreme Court judgment to know whether our faith in our judicial system should be upheld, or our faith in the judicial system should go to the dustbins of history. You know, it's rather frustrating. When things are obvious, they should be obvious.
I agree. Yes, the last elections, we saw how religion played a very critical role at that, and we've seen Nigerians come out bitter afterwards. And so really, as an administrator, how do you balance religion, politics, and advocacy all at the same time?
Would you really say that religion played such a significant part, or people made it a high point, you know, because we had this Muslim ticket?
There was also the bias from the other side that says, no, don't vote that pattern.
I would think, you know, administration. I think the figure on the seat who works with a constitution and probably bylaws and probably rules and regulations, I don't think that we should worry so much, or we should have bothered so much about religion. I think since this government, the current government came into being, have we had issues of religion coming up? If we've had issues, it will be that, well, he's appointing his brothers, he's appointing his sisters, and these brothers and sisters can be Christians or Muslims, you know. So nobody was appointed, except, see, if you are talking of appointing the Sultan of Sokoto, who is a religious leader, Supreme Council for Religious Affairs. That's when you talk about religion when the system begins to run. Otherwise, administration is administration, and administration begins to run depending on the competence of those who occupy these positions. And I don't, in Nigeria, if we're practicing religion the way we talk about religion, our systems would have been good now. You won't have had people who will take what should belong to the people. So, no religion allows you to cheat the other, person of what should naturally or normally be theirs. But we have these issues of, in Kogi State, for instance, we are looking for our ex-governor who made away with 82 billion, who paid school fees for his children yet unborn. He is a Muslim. So how is religion really is? I think individuals are the ones, when it suits them, they talk about religion. But when it comes to practice, they don't put religion to use. They don't put religion to use, because if they were putting religions to use, we'll have a better place than we have now. Don't you think so?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So I want to take your last line now. And you're retired. You're still pushing on. At what point will you be saying, "I'm fulfilled"?
Yeah. Right now, I'm fulfilled. I as a Muslim, I say Alhamdulillah. I'm happy with my station in life. But I think that everyone should push on until your last breath. You push on until your strength refuses you to move. What we must know is that as human beings, a time will come when you don't even want to move anymore. Or if you want to move, you don't have the push to move on. But so long as I have the push, I will continue to wish that I can make the world a better place than it is at any point in time. You know, I also worked in a productivity center. So productivity to me is continuous search for the best in anything, in any situation you find yourself. So you must continue to search for what is the best. It is also the same reason I like to work with young people. I give young people unsolicited advice. When I see them, I assess them on the road. I am not one of those who say that children hawking is a terrible thing. I'm one of those who will find a child selling granules and I'll say, okay, what class are you in now? What do you think you want to do with your life? And I will end up telling them, okay, if it's a girl, I say, look, just wait. The boys will come when you have finished your education and you are somewhere. You don't have to be in a hurry. Wouldn't you like to drive a car? You have to finish going to school. You have to learn some skill. You have to be a good person. You have to be able to, you know. So I give this advice because continuously I want to affect the society positively.
Okay, I must sincerely thank you for all these insights you've shared with me, Dr. Rekiya. It's been nice actually speaking with you in the last 1 hour. And on this note, I would like to thank you, all our viewers, for making out time to join this conversation. My name is Leah Katung Babatunde. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Leah. We should shake hands today. Right. 1 hour so fast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.